My hope would be that WB goes to Avalanche and says, what do you guys want to make?
Everything he said is the exact opposite of what I would do.
You don't need multiplayer to extend the life of a game.
If you tallied the community, I think most would prefer to keep it as a single player game.
Oh my gosh, James, you're right. That is
That's the worst case scenario.
Oh.
I think introducing those elements of live service could alienate a lot of people. Yo, that is the best idea I have heard in a long time.
Avalanche Software had never attempted a game on the scale of Hogwarts Legacy, and yet the game has already made over $1 billion, a number that certainly only increased since the last official update in May. Legacy has been widely praised by fans and critics alike, with many believing it laid the groundwork for an even bigger and better sequel. Unfortunately, internet rumors, new hires, and even comments from the man on top of the entire company have fans concerned. WB Discovery CEO recently told investors their focus is to transform some of their biggest franchises to, quote, include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform, and free-to-play extensions, with the goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. Is Avalanche Software getting ready to go the way of Rocksteady, the once beloved studio behind the Batman Arkham games? So when this news first broke, I thought about doing a news update video, which I could have done. However, I really wanted to do this one justice. I wanted to really get into the nuance here. And so I decided to bring on a special guest. My friend and fellow YouTuber James of Expecto Go is one of the biggest Potter fans on the internet. His passion and dedication to the Wizarding World community even caught the eyes of Avalanche Software, as he was given the opportunity to meet with many of the devs and a behind-the-scenes look at the studio. He then helped show a bit more of Hogwarts Legacy to the world in the first ever gameplay showcase. Now, like our channel here, James has covered Hogwarts Legacy and the Wizarding World fandom extensively. So who better to have a conversation with, not only about the future of Hogwarts Legacy, but the future of Wizarding World video games as a whole. I saw this tweet from you, which you and I mean, we're pretty positive people, right? We keep
positive.
It real, but we try to keep things positive. We have a good outlook on things. So when I saw even you tweeting about this, saying, hold up, I knew I had to have a deeper conversation with you here to dive into this. So here's your tweet, and I'll pop it up on screen for people. But you said, I'm going to be honest, this is a straight cash grab IMO. There's nothing about 1, storytelling, 2, player experience, 3, building trust and brand, and mentioning biggest franchises and monetary has me worried about the future of Wizarding World games, primarily Hogwarts Legacy.
Well, you have a game developed by Avalanche Software that has, for however reasons, has just won over a lot of people. So much so that it made over $1 billion in just a couple of months. And as of we're recording now, probably a little bit more over there,
Right.
especially after the release of the Nintendo Switch versions of the game. So if they are focusing on monetary gains, why would you affect a franchise, which they have in the quote from Zaslav, like Hogwarts Legacy, which WB's, I think, president, David Haddad, had confirmed back in March that we want to turn Hogwarts Legacy into a franchise.
Right.
Why are you trying to get more money after it just gave you $1 billion? So he's talking to the investors like, hey, we're going to try to make more money, so invest in us more. So he's trying to convince these guys who invested in WB Discovery. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, as I don't think Zaslav has any read on why Hogwarts Legacy and some of the other franchises were successful. And I don't think the live service route akin to that or even helps with that thought process, especially after just seeing, again, what Hogwarts Legacy was able to do in just a couple of months with making over $1 billion. So it felt to me more as like, we want to make more money, a cash grab. And there's nothing about telling good stories, connecting with the community. Heck, making sure we get brand trust, because he's only been CEO for a little bit over a year. Nothing about that. And so it just sounds like, again, a cash grab. And we want to assure the investors we're going to make more money, so you should invest in WB Discovery even more. And
Yeah.
I was disappointed.
Yeah, and to be clear, he doesn't mention Hogwarts Legacy specifically,
Right, right.
but you and I and many others, I think, are connecting the dots here. When you say biggest franchises and you look at
Yep.
their past year, I mean, nothing's been bigger for them
Nope.
than Hogwarts Legacy. We know they've got the TV show in the works, which
Yep.
even that is kind of
A cash grab.
been a bit of a hit or miss with fans. Some
Right,
fans are
right.
like, "What?" And I mean,
Yeah.
even you and I who are optimistic, we're like, "Okay, well, I'll definitely watch it. I'm curious
You're
to
right.
see." But if you polled every Harry Potter fan and said, "What would you like to see?" I don't think that would have been
No,
top of the list of remake
no.
the original movies. I'll be honest, ever since the release of the last movie, Deathly Hallows Part 2, it really feels like the Wizarding World has been kind of searching for that next thing, right?
Yes,
And as
agreed.
they've been struggling to find it. Everybody loves the theme park. The theme parks are great. But other than that, it's been a lot of misses. The games, I know a game that's very near and dear to your heart, Harry
Uh,
Potter Wizards Unite. You
yeah,
loved it.
loves
That
it.
was canceled. Didn't make enough money. And so it's like they've been looking for that next big thing. And now you and I think they've got it. I
They
mean,
have it. They
they've
do.
they've got it in Hogwarts Legacy. And so, yeah, when a quote like this hits, you and I certainly don't represent the entire fan base, but we've been very
Right.
plugged into it
Yeah.
pretty much the whole time this game has been in development. And I think we have a good read on what a lot of fans want. For me, like from my perspective, Avalanche Software, you gave them a chance, right? They've
Yep,
never done
exactly.
anything this big. You gave them a chance. And by I'm not gonna say all, but by most accounts, they knocked it out of the park, at least to the point where, I mean, if you think about a business and you give this new employee, you're like, "Okay, here's a project for you. This is a big project. Let's see how you do." And they turn in over $1 billion. I'm not gonna go and say, "All right, now here's what I want you to do." I'm gonna say, "You
He
take this. What
Yo,
do you
let
guys
them
wanna
cook.
do? How can
Let
we
them
help?"
cook. Yep, yep,
Exactly. So
yep.
that's my hope, and I know you've met and talked with a lot of these folks at Avalanche firsthand. You've seen the
Yeah,
passion firsthand.
yeah.
So my hope would be that WB goes to Avalanche and says, and well, given this time, I hope they've already done this and says,
Right.
"What do you guys want to make?"
Yeah,
And
agreed.
my hunch, I don't know this for sure, but I don't think Avalanche would say, "We want to do live services. We want to do free to play stuff. We want to do tons of multiplayer MMO type." Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do.
Let's not forget, this is their first step into AAA open
Right.
world type game. So why also take another step into something different when you're just getting your feet wet with this type of game making process and
For
stuff.
sure.
And let's just be clear. It's not just Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter fans who took this quote kind of off-putting. It was others. The
Yeah.
biggest skeptic, Luke Stevens, agreed with this by saying everything he said is the exact opposite of
Right.
what I would
Yep.
do. Other content creators and journalists are saying the same thing, at least along the lines of this doesn't sound like a good idea, at least just from the outside looking in. And with the quote, obviously, we don't know what they have planned. It could be talking about an entirely different Wizarding World game, not so much Hogwarts
Mm.
Legacy, which again we will get into, but we
Yes.
just want to make it clear it's not just Hogwarts Legacy fans or Harry Potter fans who were kind of disgruntled by the quote. It was gamers alike as well who respect what Avalanche Software was able to do with Hogwarts Legacy and the success it had being a single player open world RPG.
This is a thing for the broader gaming industry right now, this whole live service thing. And I feel like from where I'm sitting, it feels like Fortnite may have been Fortnite, that PUBG era when they were first kind of that feels like the thing that really shifted the industry. Rocket
It
League's
did.
another one to think like, "Whoa, you're telling
Yep.
me we can make this kind of money if we just build one game and consistently update it?" Destiny's another one. I mean, I guess World of Warcraft's been kind of doing it for years, but I feel
Right.
like Fortnite's really the one, the free to play model especially.
Yeah.
And so you've even seen this with Sony right now. I mean, Jim Ryan stepped down. We don't maybe it was just a retirement, but a lot of people seem to think there was something going on with. I mean, he was making a big live service push for them in their games, and
Yep.
I think every single one of them has gotten delayed. Let's take this quote here and let's say best case scenario, what would we like to see sort of in a perfect world for the future of Hogwarts Legacy, knowing what you do about Avalanche, James, and knowing how they did with this game? Because I think it's not a perfect game,
Right.
but it
For
is
sure.
it is, I think, a perfect beginning for them
Mhm.
to take and just absolutely fulfill all the wildest dreams in the
Yep.
sequel, and to see them not have that chance would hurt.
If I had like my choice, I wouldn't have live service at all.
Mm,
I
yeah.
wouldn't. It is
In
it doesn't
Hogwarts
need it
Legacy.
in Hogwarts Legacy. If I
Yeah.
had my choice, I would not add any live service element to Hogwarts Legacy. I would keep it the same recipe that they had, just add more in-game content. Outside, once you're done with the
Yes.
game, okay, what are we going to do now? Because that has been a critique for a lot of people. They were like, it was amazing. I enjoyed it. Bing, bang, boom. I'm done. What now? And so,
Mm.
yeah, if you're a platinum trophy hunter like Retro over here, you can go and kind of play other houses and kind of knock out the quest and tasks and achievements, to get that platinum trophy. But outside of that, is really not that much for the gamers. I think they want more stuff to do, maybe a harder challenge, maybe add a game plus situation. But I think more so than anything, just extend the lifespan of the sequel once it comes out by having a game plus mode or something else that we can do once we beat the game.
Yeah, yeah. I think I mean, I've said so many times, I think one of the most impressive things about about the success of Hogwarts Legacy is how Harry Potter fandom is so huge, and they even touched people who were outside the fandom with this game, and somehow managed to create a game that still appealed to the majority of those people. Now, we all have our critiques and things that we would have changed, but by and large, it seems like it at least resonated on some level with millions of people,
Yep.
millions of people.
Yep. Yep.
So, like you said, clearly there was something there that they got right, and I can only imagine all the things that had to be left on the cutting room floor. We've seen some of this in the
Mhm.
game files of things that
Mhm.
they clearly wanted to do and probably ran out of time, or it didn't quite work and they had to cut it. So that's why I would love to see them just given free reign with a sequel for them. I trust Avalanche at this point. I trust
Yeah.
them if they were given the full control and they think that they can incorporate multiplayer elements and that it would work,
Right.
go for it. But
Right.
just purely as a grab, like you said, just to keep people playing the game, I
Yeah.
that's not what I want to see, because there are so
No.
many other ways that you can make a game that people talk about years later. I mean,
Yep.
people are still talking about Skyrim. They're still talking about Red Dead 2, the single player side of Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
And I realize I'm talking about some major top tier developers right there, but
Right.
with Avalanche now having this under their belt, they're going to have the resources to put
Exactly.
together that caliber of a game. But $1 billion, people, remember that.
Oh
We
yeah.
keep saying that number. So it's like there's so many possibilities for what they can do. And it's like any business, right? If Do you
Yeah.
take that money and do you blow it on things you shouldn't, or do you reinvest it
Yep.
in the company, in the business,
So it can
and
make you
make
more
it
money.
better?
Yeah. Overall, I think you're exactly right. Let Avalanche do what they've been able to do. Avalanche Software has a team of people who are passionate, not about just storytelling, not just about gaming, but about the IP. They
Mm,
are passionate and
yep.
care about making sure they handle it and give it to those of us who are fans of the IP, but taking care of it where it doesn't ruin what we fell in love with its IP in the first place. So,
Yeah.
having those people, especially at the top down, with that enthusiasm, that care, and that passion, I think just you're in good hands. Just let them take care of it and do what they need to do. You have a community manager who knows the community, and
Mhm.
does a great job listening to what we as a community would like to see in future installments. So it's all about just letting Avalanche Software do what they've been able to do these past couple of years leading to Hogwarts Legacy, and see it through to the second one.
Yeah, you touched on a great point there. You don't need multiplayer to extend the life of a game. There are other ways you can do it, and I mean, I look at I think one of the greatest recent examples of like DLC is you look at the Witcher games. I
Mm,
mean, the 2 story I didn't even play all of them, but I just played a little bit of them, and from hearing how everybody talked about them, I mean, it was almost like its own game, you know? They
yep.
already had this world built, and then they just released all these additional story quests in this DLC. So I think you're spot on there. In a sequel, if they were able to build out a deeper, richer world around all the main quests that you're doing to where people do want to go back like Skyrim and re-experience things and
Yeah.
see things if you go at it from a different perspective and if choices were to actually matter, if you have branching paths and all that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Then you have story DLCs that you release on top of it. People will keep your game and people will continue to spend money on the game when you
Yes.
drop those. So
Yep.
you don't even have to have multiplayer if you want to keep making money off of it.
And you don't have to build an entirely new game. Like
Right, yeah.
you just add more sections to it. It's already there. Yeah. I think that's the it's just a smart way of doing it. And again, you said it so eloquently. You don't need multiplayer to expand this game.
So now let's expand it back a bit, because as I alluded to earlier, you've played other games in the wizarding world. You and I are both ambassadors for Harry Potter Magic Awakened, which is
Hmm.
very underrated in my opinion. I wish more
Very.
people would give it a shot. Yes, there's a
It's
lot of
mobile.
microtransactions. Yes, it's
Yeah.
mobile.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
core game is really good.
Yeah.
So, do you think, all right, expanding outside of Hogwarts Legacy, would you like to see an MMO set in the wizarding world that is, developed more from the ground up as a console PC release?
Yes, please, and thank you. Uh, the Wizarding World, it's akin to Lord of the Rings. The Wizarding World is perfect for an MMO.
Absolutely. Yep.
It is perfect. I actually have the book here. We were talking about it in a past stream. So, the Fantastic Beasts
Nice.
and where to find them. Obviously, it isn't written yet in Hogwarts Legacy's timeline, but we're not talking about Hogwarts
The
Legacy.
beasts are
But
still there.
the beasts are still a thing. And the Ministry of Magic has classified the beasts from 1 to 5 stars, with the 5 star being the highest and toughest beast to take down. Bro, can you imagine me, Retro, Lynette, Andy, Ben, Joe, Miranda, like all of us coming together and trying to take down a Peruvian viper tooth, or
I mean, I was
whatever
thinking
type of
Monster Hunter when you were
bro.
talking about that. I've Monster Hunter vibes. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah. There's so many avenues, not even talking about potion making, not even talking about ways
Ooh.
to travel like a broom and everything. Like, it's literally World of Warcraft just with heck wizards. It's all wizards.
It's honestly stunning to me it hasn't been tried yet. I mean, I know
Yeah,
it's a big task,
it's hard to do.
so
Yeah,
I
for
totally
sure.
agree with you. Like, yeah, I totally agree with you again. I don't want it to be some tacked on thing to Hogwarts Legacy. I think it could
Exactly.
be, if you do it right from the ground up and really, study those other games that have been doing it
Hmm.
right for a number of years, that have goodwill with fans and not the games
Yes.
that
Yes.
annoy people with too many microtransactions, because I mean, there are plenty of good examples out there now of games
Yep.
that do it right. For years, people have talked about wanting to be able to do their
Yeah.
Wizarding World profession. Like,
Mhm.
I want to be able to
Yes.
choose like my profession, which you kind of do a little bit in Wizards Unite. I
Yeah.
understand, right? You like
Yep.
get to
Yep.
pick your
Yep.
path.
Yep, yep, yep.
So
They had
imagine if
those elements within Wizards Unite where you could be a professor or a magic zoologist. Those were like the big three professions and skill trees you could build up based on the profession you chose. So
yeah.
it's there. It's there. And like imagine retro. You can, let's say you want to have a profession and stuff. Well, those professions usually are under governments. So now we
Mm.
got the Ministry of Magic. We got the Makusa over in the United States.
Yeah.
You can go to different Brazilian, Chinese, like all these different governments. And heck, we can even do, because everybody loves being in school, you could do the wide variety of visiting schools as factions and
Yep.
stuff while taking that. Like, it's all
Yep.
there. We're just scratching the surface. We
Yeah, I
haven't
don't even
even
think you
gotten into
necessarily have to
anything.
be a student. You could be
No,
yeah, you could be
no.
graduated. Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's definitely a place for a Wizarding World MMO, and more rumors seem to be popping up that it's in the works. I think what's unclear right now is are they trying to morph Hogwarts Legacy into this,
That's the
or
big
is it its
question.
own thing? Yeah, that is the big
That's
question.
Yeah, because we shout out to support crow Joe Mack with the initial scoop on job listings under WB Games for a position that has to have some live service experience when it comes to this job posting. I believe is with under Avalanche Software. I don't know if
Well,
it's
it's
just
based
bar.
in Utah is why we're thinking
Okay,
it's
okay,
something to do with
okay,
Avalanche. Yeah,
okay,
which
okay.
is what I should have mentioned that in the opening because that does kind of lead more into we've got this new quote now from the CEO, and then we
And
also have this evidence that they're hiring somebody in Utah
yep, yep, yep.
for I think it's executive producer, yeah, but with live service
Mhm.
experience. Let's say we don't get our best case scenario, James. Let's say the CEO came down to Avalanche and was like, "You're putting live service in. How can they incorporate it in a way that will work, that will still please both sides?" Because you and I have seen, I mean, what is the percentage of people who want multiplayer and the people who don't? Because I would get so many comments, and I know you did too, of people saying, "Please do not put multiplayer. I'm a single player. If they put multiplayer, I'm not buying this." And then I had just as many people saying, "There's nothing left to do. I can't
Yeah.
believe I can't even talk with my friends. You've got these people on the PC mods making it so they can all walk around together in Hogwarts Legacy." I'm like, "Yikes, I actually don't know what the right choice is here."
And it was funny because I had the like you said, we had the exact like sentiment in our comment sections with our videos, but it was pre-game launch and then
Yeah,
post-game launch with, "Hey, I don't want anybody to interact with before the game. I need somebody to talk to after the game's release." So, I
right.
mean, we're fans. Fans are short for fanatics. We're a fickle bunch, and we kind of go crazy and go with the tide when it comes to things we're passionate about. But yeah, it was divisive, and honestly, I was just surprised by the rhetoric even before the game and after the game, but I still just getting the vibe based off of the conversations we've been having with this topic as of late. A lot of people are still like, the game was still so good, despite
Mhm.
it not having enough stuff after beating in the game. They still enjoyed the single player aspect. And I think they're more fearful of corporate or higher ups interfering with the game that they've enjoyed, at least
Yeah.
the aspects that they enjoyed. So I think most, if you tallied the community, I think most would prefer to keep it as a single player game. That being said, I did throw in suggest, like I said earlier, the Ghost of Tsushima route
Exactly.
with like dungeon crawling or battle arena type situations. I think just the overall fear with WB and Zaslav's comments is just interfering with what worked. It could work out, but more likely it could turn the fan base off. But if I had to answer the question and have to have something in there based off what Zaslav is implementing as a company policy,
Yeah.
I would just say go the game, go to Tsushima route, talk to them,
Yep.
see how they implemented it,
Exactly.
and keep it simple while still giving the option of keeping it single player.
That's me. We're agreeing a lot today, but you and I
Okay.
think the same on a lot of things. But yeah, I think if you can clearly separate it, because that was what was so. I mean, the Ghost of Tsushima thing kind of dropped out of nowhere. Nobody
Came
knew
out
that
of
was a
nowhere.
thing.
Yeah.
people were already loving the single player and talked about how great of a game it was, and they're like, "Oh yeah, if you want to group up with some friends, here's this multiplayer mode that is
Yeah,
actually pretty good."
it was.
And
It
I even
was.
think back to, I mean, it's not the best example right now, but the original Last of Us, factions was
Mm,
something that nobody like. That was a it just happened to be in the game. They had this multiplayer mode that actually was pretty good. Now they're
yeah,
trying to make it its own separate thing, which they're having trouble with. But The
yeah.
Last of Us, one of the greatest, my favorite single player game of all time,
Mhm.
one of just an incredible story in video games. And then you have this multiplayer mode. So they had a mode there to keep people coming back and playing and interested.
And let's not forget, like, if it could be talking about the Harry Potter franchise when he references franchises and stuff. So
Yeah,
we mentioned MMO, but we also have Quidditch Champions
for sure. Yeah.
coming out, and we don't know. It hasn't been confirmed yet if it's going to be live services or not, but that looks like a game that could have even esports aspects to it if it gets competitive enough, and that could be a live service game as well. And we also have Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League coming out as well, which looks to be a live service game. So
Right, which is under a lot of heat from what I understand.
it looks bad.
That's Rocksteady, right?
That's Rocksteady that gave us the Arkham series,
See,
and
that's
they
so baffling to me.
and that's the I think that's the worst case scenario
Right.
because they're not a live service company. They never
Mm.
have been,
I
and
just pulled
so
up to see if they had released any other games that I had forgotten about. They had a Batman Arkham VR in 2016, but no.
mhm,
They had the 3 Batman Arkham games, which were universally praised.
immaculate.
People
Yep,
love them,
yep.
and now they're working working on a live server. Oh
And
my
that's the
gosh,
worst
James,
case
that
scenario.
is, you're right. That is the
That's
worst.
the worst case scenario
Oh,
because you're turning when you
yeah.
heard Rocksteady was doing something, you're like, they're going to do more within the franchise and stuff. We're going to get another Arkham trilogy or something else within it. And yeah, we're within the DC, Batman universe, but it's a live
Oh, I'm
live
sad now.
service game
Why would
and
you
stuff
take what they do so well and I
and
mean,
tell them to do
maybe
something different.
they, I don't know enough about the studio. Maybe they wanted to do something different.
Right.
I don't think Avalanche will. Avalanche, please. But that, just like
That's the
looking at it here, looking at the Wikipedia, it's mind-blowing that they went away from the success of Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and now you're putting them on. Who knows? Maybe it will release and people will love it, but from
right.
what I've seen, people are not enthused about what has been shown so far. Because I think they did like a little early access thing or something where,
Well, they did. They showed some gameplay
oh,
and
showed
they
game.
showed some aspects of each of the characters because I believe there's 4 characters we'll be able to control within the game. And
It
just
didn't go over
looking
well.
at it did not it was not well received. Doesn't look good. A lot of people wasn't expecting loot boxes. Like all of these
Ooh.
aspects that they're just starting to show just is going to be a major turnoff. And my thing is, especially with this being the worst case scenario, now put that with Avalanche Software and the studio interference from WB Games,
Mhm.
what you would also alienate not just the gamers, but the Harry Potter fans who aren't gamers. The Potter collector is a prime example. Went out, bought bought a PS5 and learned how to stream just to play this game because
Yep.
it was a dream come true for Potterheads. The thing is, live service type games like a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that kind of borrows their blueprint from Fortnite, which I mean, Fortnite is amazing. Is I think it had like 44 million playing at the same time when the OG map
Yeah, the
dropped or
OG
whatever.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody wants to duplicate that, which I totally get. But again, understanding the player base, especially for the Wizarding World, a lot of Harry Potter fans aren't gamers. And
Mhm.
so now you have to pull in Harry Potter fans to play games and convince gamers that this IP is worthy of your attention to play in the first place. So I think introducing those elements of live service could alienate a lot of people. Whereas with a single player action RPG, it's isolated, it's simple. hey,
Yeah.
experience this story with telling and see how you feel afterwards. And I just think if they go the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League route, it's going to have that reception. It really, in my opinion, for
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy, is going to have that reception.
My wife does not play video games, and even she has said, I want to play Hogwarts Legacy at some point. We have 2 kids, so she hasn't found the time yet.
Right.
But even she, and she's a nurse, and she works with other nurses who, like Potter Collector, they bought their system to play Hogwarts Legacy. And we kind of heard that
Yeah.
early on, but
Yeah.
I think even I underestimated just how many people out there were doing that. I mean,
Yep.
anytime I mention that in a video, somebody will comment and say, "Hey, that's me too."
Yep.
Every
Yep.
time.
Yep.
So I think, yeah, you're spot on. And you touched on Quidditch Champions a bit too.
Yeah.
I definitely, from what the way they've talked about that game, it definitely feels like it could be like sort of in that Rocket League vein of like free to
Mhm.
play
Great
with
example.
these other things added on. Who knows how it will be received once it's finally out? I really do feel like they have the opportunity to do something unique because they have, like, right
Mm.
now you have all these, feels like everything's disjointed. Like you tried Wizards Unite, you've got Puzzles and Spells, which apparently is doing pretty well. You've
Still.
got Magic Awaken, you got Hogwarts Legacy, you're gonna have Quidditch Champions. Maybe there's an MMO coming. It's like, is there not some way that we can, I don't know, like connect all these a little bit better? I don't know what it would look like, but
Oh my gosh. So I'm about to go OG
let's
right
hear it.
quick.
Let's hear
Okay.
it.
So the first game under the Portkey Games label. Portkey Games is
That's
what
right.
ties
Wasn't that the whole
W
point of
yeah,
Portkey?
yeah.
Yes.
Portkey Games allows WB Games to tell their own Wizarding World stories and not have to worry about it being canon. So the Portkey Games label I called was the PGU, the Portkey Games Universe. Okay. So their first game was Hogwarts Mystery. That's the one they tried out. I believe that
Right.
came out
Yeah.
in
I think that was
2018.
still out.
It's still
Yeah.
out. It's still out. They had a huge expansion last year where you graduate from Hogwarts and you're actually working and living life by yourself and
Oh, wow.
have Wizarding World jobs and stuff on a mobile game, by the way. So that's what we want in a console game. But anyway, so the first one was Hogwarts Mystery. Then they followed it up with Wizards Unite like a year or two after that. The Wizards Unite came out in 2019. Following the story in both of those games, because if you're doing a Wizarding World game, you have to have a good story. That's what drew us all into this world in the first place. We started seeing similarities within both of the stories, particularly a covert operation or a dark wizards group called R in Hogwarts Mysteries, but the Unforgivables or the Unspeakables, I can't remember what they were called in
Yeah.
Wizards Unite. Then we started seeing even more similarities and callbacks to stuff that I had noticed in Magic Awakened, and I tried
Hmm.
to see if I could find some stuff when it came to Hogwarts Legacy, particularly with Ancient Magic, because each of them has like a calamitous type situation that's going, or you have dark wizards looking for this ancient type magic. And even
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Wizards Unite, a certain ancient magic that hasn't been touched on was used, which I guess resulted in the foundable spell and everything like that. So there's been hints to, or at least nods to the other games within a certain game. So
Mm.
Wizards Unite would nod to Hogwarts Mystery and so forth and so on. And I think you're hitting it right on the head. You can create your own little universe and have them all tie in, at least just from a storytelling standpoint, kind of promoting these other games as well as selling different types of games that people can get into within the Wizarding World or Portkey Games label. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that, and I think they have been doing that. It's just whether you build upon it and go with it, or just keep throwing different types of games out there and see what sticks.
Right. Yeah. It feels more like that. Which, I mean, there has to be some degree of that with anything, right? If
Yeah,
you
for
got to
sure.
see what resonates and you don't always know going into it. I can't describe it because I don't know what it looks like. It's never been done before. But if they got a lot of smart people there that could maybe figure this out.
Because I know what you're talking about.
Because
And I
it's like
don't know.
everybody wanted Quidditch in Hogwarts Legacy, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And yet we're
yeah.
getting Quidditch Champions, but there's a huge chunk of Hogwarts Legacy
Eh,
people who will never touch it, no
no,
matter no
because it
matter
looks a
what they
certain
do.
way. Yep,
Right.
yep, yep, yep,
It's
yep.
like if there was some way, like if I was playing Hogwarts Legacy and I'm like, I go to the Quidditch pitch and it's like, oh, do you want to play Quidditch? And then you're in Quidditch Champions all of a sudden. It
If
would
I'm
be
being
jarring if
honest,
it looked different, but
it would be. It
I'm
would
talking like
be.
perfect world if it was the same graphics and everything, you know.
They have to capture the magic.
Oh,
A
for
lot of
sure,
the
yeah.
a lot of, and what I mean by that is we want to be Harry Potter. We want, you get
A
even a
wizard, a
casual
witch,
person,
yeah.
yeah, we want our own story. We want to live within the Wizarding world and experience it for the first time. Yes, we were able to do that with Hogwarts Legacy and even other Harry Potter games. But Hogwarts Legacy was the first one where it was our story and it was as immersive as it was. That's why it made as much money. What ties everything together, as Alan too said, was Hogwarts, was that experience of attending Hogwarts as a student and experiencing the Wizarding world through that lens and then expanding upon that. And
Mhm.
so I think you start at Hogwarts Legacy and then you expand to professions as a grown up working as an aura in the ministry and have that be a separate game. And then you have little kiddie games for kids for all ages. Well, not so much all ages, but a certain youth type game where
Yeah.
kids can do our Newts and Friends idea, where it's Pokemon, but with Newt Scamander who's saving Beast, going
Yeah.
out and catching fantastic beasts around the world as a kiddie game. I think if you
Bring
have
back Wizards
games,
Unite.
oh, bro,
Because it
please,
sounds like what you're describing there, just a little bit, James.
yeah, but we won't get into that. But
No.
I think having, because that age range is so broad right now,
Yeah.
because we
That's what
both
makes the
are
theme
around this.
park so fun too, because like,
Because
you just see
everybody's
families
experienced it.
there. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep. So I think if you start having games that are as immersive like a Hogwarts Legacy, but for different type of fans who want to see what happens after school, who want to just be in school, or who just getting into the world for the first time, I think if you knock out those three fandoms within the Harry Potter IP, then knock it out the park, because you're going to solidify those hardcore Harry Potter fans. Now worry about the gaming aspect to bring in the gamers. I think you have something there to work with and have its own storyline, see-through line, where it's all connected, because you start out young, now you're at Hogwarts, and
Mm.
now you've graduated and you're an aura or working in the ministry or whatever other profession you want to do. Heck, go back as a teacher and teach back at Hogwarts. So I think if they think about what a Wizarding World or Harry Potter fan would want to experience and go off of that while pleasing gamers with the technical aspects of it that would bring them in, I think you have something that could be successful and cohesive at the same time.
Dude, you know what would sell incredibly well? Is if they I wouldn't want this to replace Hogwarts Legacy 2 or whatever they call the next game, but imagine if Avalanche could have take that $1 billion, make a second team, and they, like, remake. That is where I would love to see a remake. If we got a remake of the 7-book series
Oh my
by
gosh.
Avalanche
Yeah,
Software.
yeah,
You've
you're
already
printing
got
money
Hogwarts
there.
built.
Yeah, yeah, you're printing money now.
You got the
Yeah, yeah,
castle. 'Cause I
yeah.
love those games,
Oh
man, but
my
those games were made
gosh.
so long ago. Those games were made under big time crunch to where they were trying to hit
Retro.
movie releases. Just saying.
Retro.
Just saying.
Retro.
'Cause it's like they've got the
Retro.
spell casting system, right?
Yeah.
You've got the castle. Those are 2 of the most important things.
Who wouldn't want Professor McGonagall as a
Right?
teacher? Who wouldn't
Yes.
want Snape?
To
Oh
see
my
Avalanche get a
gosh.
chance to, like, make their version of
In
Sorcerer's
Unreal
Stone,
Engine
Chamber of
6?
Secrets. Yeah.
Bro. Bro. Yo, that is the best idea I have heard in a long time. And I hate remakes outside of Final Fantasy.
Oh,
I hate remakes. But
let's
bro,
do it. Come on,
Yeah, make it
Avalanche.
happen. Avalanche Software, second team. Let's go.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want it to take the place of a news story,
Right,
but
right, right.
I mean, it's one thing to remake the movies, which are still not even that old, but
No,
those games, the technology in video games has just go back,
jumped.
people. Look up if you go to YouTube and look up the complete history of Harry Potter video games, you might find a video made by
by,
somebody here,
by this guy.
and you could take a look at what those first games look like.
Heck,
And
even your Let's Plays, like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So to see those being, because a lot of people say every time I play one of those games or talk about it, people say I wish they would re-release these, and I'm like, I don't know if you really do. What you
Yeah,
really want is a
yeah,
complete and total remake from the
yeah,
ground up with
yeah.
new
Today's
game
graphics.
today's graphics and even today's gameplay stuff, because a lot of the gameplay back then, it's like, what what are we doing here? So yeah, just let Avalanche completely remake the original 7.
Oh
That's what
my
I'm saying.
gosh. Retro. That's a video. Retro. That is genius. That is,
Well, I think
it could make so much money. It would make so much money.
it,
It would make so much money.
wait, okay. Release it as the TV show is coming out.
Yes.
Done.
Yes. Just
$1
tie
billion
it all together.
again.
Tie it all together.
And one thing I can say to you guys for certain about both WB Games and Avalanche Software is that they absolutely listen to the community. They may not always be able to do exactly what we're hoping for, but they 100% do listen. So this is your chance, guys. Sound off in the comments below. Are James and I wrong? Where do you agree? Where do you disagree? Do you want a Harry Potter MMO? What do you want to see for Hogwarts Legacy? We'd love to hear from you guys there. YouTube just so happens to think that this video would be a great one for you to check out next. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.